If you are a creative person, I'm confident that you know the feeling. And no matter how hard you try, this invisible force puts a mental roadblock between where you're at and what you know you should be doing. You probably know the feeling of this force whenever you try to do something that you know you need to do, it creeps in and separates you from your goals. Today, I'm going to be talking about an interesting subject that I know you have felt if you are a true creative. It's not something that gets discussed very often, but I know it's something that you've probably felt in the past day, week, or maybe even month. Or maybe it holds you back every single day. So make sure to stick around for the 3 tips for helping overcome this invisible force. What's up, everyone? My name is Eric. I am a photographer and filmmaker that is now on the journey of helping you create better content for your personal brand or business. The thing that I want to talk about today is how much of a struggle it has been for me the past few weeks to, number 1, sit down and write, and number 2, to get out the camera and film another video. As a creator, it seems like this is just some easy task that you can just, sit down, crank out 1,000 words, post it up as a newsletter, or just click the camera on, record, and speak, and for it to make sense for everyone watching. But unfortunately, that is not the case. It is a very difficult thing to consistently do, and that is the barrier that I'm facing right now. And that is the system that I'm trying to figure out for myself so that I can then share it with you as well. If you are a creative person, I'm confident that you know the feeling. I believe that this force happens for different people doing different tasks. So for you, it might be going for a walk, working out, eating healthy, creating art, practicing your craft, doing outdoor activities, or socializing with people. It's almost like the more that we know we need to do something, the harder it is to do. So in this video, I just wanted to dive a little bit deeper and admit my struggle with this invisible force that I believe every person feels. I've talked about this before on my channel, but the number 1 lever moving task in my life, in my clarity of thinking, and in my business is writing every single day. Unfortunately, this task is one of the hardest things for me to continue over the long term. When I first began creating my personal brand a couple years ago, every single thing started out with me writing 1,000 words per day for 100 plus days in a row. I forget the exact number, but this literally changed my life, and it allowed me to think more clearly. It allowed me to digest a lot of the things that I was going through at the time, and really just gave me a foundation for the content that I'm now creating and the business that I'm now working on. Now, with that being said, there are a few things I love more than waking up anywhere between 5 and 6 a.m., sitting down for an hour to even an hour and a half or 2 hours and cranking out a long writing session. It's just an amazing feeling. I really love the flow state that I end up getting into, and I really love the feeling afterwards, knowing that I've created something that can then turn into content or just something for my personal sake, or into a video that you're now watching like this. Although this video was not scripted with a writing session beforehand, I'm doing this one off the cuff. It is still extremely beneficial to write long form and then break that up into different pieces of content. Even though I know how important it is for me to keep up with a daily writing habit, or at the very least to write 2 to 3 times a week, it is still extremely difficult for me to continue. Especially these past couple weeks, I've been burdened by the invisible force that holds every creative person back. You probably know the feeling of this force whenever you try to do something that you know you need to do, it creeps in and separates you from your goals. And no matter how hard you try, this invisible force puts a mental roadblock between where you're at and what you know you should be doing. And unfortunately, as life gets busier, with the summer season being here or in different seasons of your life, this invisible force grows all the more relevant. Instead of making the time to sit down and write for 60 minutes in the morning, I get pulled in a million different directions, trying to juggle too many tasks, and I end up getting distracted from the things that really matter to me. Sometimes it's stronger than others. Sometimes it doesn't seem relevant at all, but other times it is completely burdensome and paralyzing to trying to create something worthwhile. The important thing to remember with this invisible force is that if creating things was easy, everyone would do it. If everything was perfect all the time and there was zero friction when trying to create something new, everyone would be doing it, and therefore it would no longer be special. Maybe this could be masked as procrastination, maybe it could be masked as perfectionism, and maybe it could be masked as just straight up laziness. But whatever it is, it's very real, and it is something that I've been struggling with and I'm sure it's something that a lot of you will be able to relate with as well. But for whatever reason, this invisible force steps up to the plate every time that I do. The wild thing is that even when it's something that I genuinely look forward to doing, it still shows up even when I'm trying to do the thing. For example, some nights I lie in bed awake because I'm so stoked to wake up, drink a cup of coffee, which I don't always do. But when I drink a cup of coffee, I usually write extremely fast and pump out a lot of really great things. So I've been experimenting with that a little bit more. But even when I am excited to wake up and write the next morning, I'll lie in bed awake, realize how comfortable my bed is, realize that, oh, maybe I could benefit from a little bit more sleep, and therefore end up skipping the writing session entirely, even when I was super excited to do it the night before. And this brings up an important point that consistency creates motivation. Motivation does not create consistency. If your actions are always contingent on you feeling motivated to do it, you're not going to do that thing day after day. But if your actions are contingent on you stacking up undeniable proof that you're able to do the thing, you're going to find it hard not to do the thing. And that might have been confusing, but hopefully that made sense. For me personally, I know how important the activity of writing is for my mental health, my clarity in thinking, and my business, yet I still find it so hard to do every single week. So what's a secret recipe for overcoming this invisible force? Surely there must be something that defeats it for good, and that is how every great person succeeds in life. Truthfully, I don't think this force will ever be defeated, and it is always going to be around to every true creative. We only have so much physical and mental energy throughout the day, and there are going to constantly be things that are battling for this energy, spreading you more and more thin. Although I do not have the secret sauce to defeat this invisible force for good, here are a few tips that I've found to help me when I'm feeling paralyzed by the invisible force. Number one is to start small. Starting something is always going to be the most difficult part. When a plane is taking off, getting off the ground is hard, but once the plane is airborne, it gets to cruising altitude with ease. The same exact principle applies to doing difficult things or creating something new. If you can find the smallest, most digestible first step, start there. Because once you've started, continuing on is going to be much easier. Just start and then worry about the rest. For example, don't try to write 1,000 words, just aim to start with 100. Don't run a marathon, just start with running your first mile. And don't try to work out 6 days per week, just start with one afternoon. Number two is to make amends with mediocre. Every piece you create is not going to be a masterpiece. I know that might be hard to hear, but that is something I constantly need to remind myself. Every video that I make isn't going to go viral, and every writing session isn't going to turn into a published newsletter. You could say the same for so many activities. Every lift, you aren't going to hit your max. Every run isn't going to be your fastest. Every design you create isn't going to be a portfolio piece. And every film is not going to win an Oscar. For every winner that you see, there are 100 plus losers. Be okay with doing things less than perfect more often, because this is where improvement happens. And finally, number three is don't wait for motivation. Consistency creates motivation, not the other way around. And breaking a streak is honestly harder than starting one. If you start a streak and continue something for, say, 30 days, it's going to be more difficult to stop that streak than it was to start with one small step. I've found that if I want to get more motivated, I need to do something enough that it becomes second nature to me. And finally, one bonus is to make it fun. Today, when filming this video, I literally started it and stopped midway through because I was so fed up. I was not feeling it, and I just didn't think I was going to be able to make it happen. Insert video clip here. All right, this is not going to work, unfortunately. I'm not feeling it. But instead of letting the stack of excuses get in the way of me not publishing another video this week, I decided to hit record once again and speak from the heart. And really, I finally broke the streak yesterday by going to a coffee shop that I love to hang out at. I got myself a coffee, which again, I usually do not drink caffeine. So I drank that, was shaking in my boots from the caffeine, and I pumped out 1,400 words, for example. Again, when I was heading there, I really wasn't feeling motivated. I really didn't think I was going to be able to make it happen. But an hour later, I was feeling so much better. I felt like I finally broke down that wall that is going to now allow me to continue this streak moving forward. Again, my point is to make it fun. Change up your routine, draw inspiration from new places, go for a walk in a new neighborhood, listen to a new podcast, or drink coffee for the first time in a while and find yourself typing 10,000 words per minute like I did. And the next time you're trying to create something and you're feeling the invisible force, remember that it's only present when you're pursuing your true purpose. When the invisible force shows up, it's a telltale sign that you're doing what you should be doing. If creating was easy, everyone would do it. But most people are held back by the force. Are you? Thank you so much for watching another video from me. My name is Eric. I will see you in the next one. Peace.